My question to you is,
Okay.
do you think it is now becoming trendy to be non-binary or trans?
Yes.
Brutal. Okay, straight in. Why? Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexis Blake.
And I'm Liam Blake.
And welcome to episode 1 of our new podcast.
The Blake Debate.
Very exciting.
Woo!
I don't know why I was also high-pitched and squeaky then. I don't know what's going on.
Good evening, everybody. It's Future Liam here. I'm just jumping in because, unfortunately, after finishing the editing, I was listening back through on my headphones and I noticed when I speak during the podcast, there is an echo in my voice. Now, I tried to fix this in post, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do so. There's nothing I can do about it now. We've decided to go ahead and post the video. Hopefully, it's not too annoying for you. This will be fixed for our next video. Again, apologies for that. We just didn't want to have to go through the rigmarole of having to re-film the whole thing because it wouldn't have felt as genuine. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully, you enjoy the podcast. Take care. Bye.
I'm still getting used to this. I do feel a bit like Adele, I'm not going to lie. I just can't sing quite like that.
Before we get started, I just want to say a big thank you to all the feedback we've had on our previous teaser video. We've taken your feedback into consideration, so we've turned up the lights. And I also realised I made a fatal error when I was...
We're learning. We are learning.
When I was doing the video editing, I didn't input the track from the microphones.
From these. So we had these for decorative purposes, basically in the last video.
When you guys pointed out and I listened to it back, it was the audio that was recorded from the camera.
Everyone's like, get some of those spongy things for the walls, do this, do that, and thank you. And we have done as well.
Yeah, we've got some soundproofing
hopefully
as well.
now you're listening to us talking through these things.
Yeah,
here.
hopefully it sounds better. And there should be less echo, but it's still a work in progress. We're going to order some more soundproofing, but
just keep us updated on your thoughts. Yeah. We love it. It helps us so much because obviously when we look at it, it's just two pairs of eyes, but when you guys let us know. So first topic for the podcast is trans becoming a trend, and I also want to include non-binary in that. I want to ask you a question at the start and the end of the video. However, before we do, I want to give you some statistics. Is that all right?
Oh, she loves the statistics.
I do. I'll link them below if you guys want to read the full article. I'm just going to pull a little bit of information. So a study found that 1.4% of 13 to 17-year-olds identify as trans and 1.3% of 18 to 24-year-olds identify as trans. However, 5 years ago, that figure for both of them was 0.7% of them.
Okay, so it's doubled.
Yeah, it's doubled in the last 5 years, which is obviously a lot. So, of course, there are genuine trans and non-binary people. I'd like to think I'm a genuine trans person myself.
I think so, yeah.
My question to you is, do you think it is now becoming trendy to be non-binary or trans?
Yes.
Brutal. Okay, straight in. Why?
So, again, this is just my opinion, but I think that as humans, we do follow trends. We like the latest fashion crazes, latest haircuts,
makeup,
music, exactly. And I don't think non-binary and trans is an exception to that.
Okay.
I think that when you see a lot of these videos on social media with people who are screaming about being misgendered or secretly recording themselves being misgendered.
Yeah. Why do you think that part of the statistics increased? Do you think it's something to do with like acceptance?
Yeah, I think when I was at school, we had your jocks, your nerds.
200 years ago.
It was like thank you very much. It was very much like Mean Girls. You had all your different categories of people.
Okay, my school was the same. Yeah.
And being different back then, you were very much bullied for it. I was bullied.
Yeah. No, I was as well.
And now you see it where I work in a supermarket, popular supermarket.
Right.
I won't say the name. It rhymes with let's go.
Oh, for goodness sake, babe. You're such a dad. You've not even got kids yet. You're going to be a perfect dad.
And I speak to a lot of parents in there.
Right.
And mums and dads, I'll overhear a conversation, they'll be talking. And I've got into conversations about how many kids are in their school at non-binary.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
My stepmom is a
trans,
teacher, and she was explaining to me in one year group at school, they have like 5 or 6 non-binary or trans kids in a year group of like 100. And I think that's quite a lot because when I was in school, I came out as gay because obviously I was a boy back then and I liked boys. And when I came out as gay, I was the only person under the LGBT umbrella in a school of over 2,000 that was out. So it blows my mind that those numbers are going up so fast. I do have a funny story.
Okay.
I think it's funny. So my cousin...
You think everything's funny?
No, I don't. So I was talking to my cousin and she was explaining to me how when her son was in school, she got a phone call, he got detention. And she was like, okay, why has he got detention then? So the teacher was explaining. So apparently he shoved another student. So fair enough, needed detention, not to worry. However, when they said, okay, why did he shove him then? Obviously, you don't just shove someone for no reason. You don't just turn around and do it. Said, oh, well, Dragon was breathing down your son's neck. And she was like,
oh, I remember this story. Yeah,
she was like, sorry, what? So the other child, Dragon, was breathing down your son's neck and he wouldn't stop. So your son shoved him. And she's like, can you just explain this one more time for me? Because I don't understand. So this person, teenager, identified as a dragon and was breathing fire onto my cousin's son's neck. And he shoved him out the way. And he got detention for it. And genuinely, when she got this phone call, she thought it was a joke. And she was like, I'm coming to pick him up now. He's not having detention. That is ridiculous. How can you identify as a dragon? I just found that really funny. Like,
I don't know. Like, I personally, again, it's my opinion, but I think you've got your trans and you've got your non-binary, and that's where I believe that I'm on board with that. I'm on board with.
I should hope so.
Well, I'm on board with. I am on board with it all, and to be honest,
you're very open-minded.
I'm very open-minded, and I don't care what you get up to behind closed doors. It's none of my business. I'm not bothered.
I know.
I'm not interested. But when you've got people on social media that are saying things like, "I've created some new pronouns," it's like, what?
I know. It makes it all very confusing, and I think if you struggle to understand the trans or non-binary concept as it is, but then you add in neo-pronouns and all of the other bits and bobs, it becomes more and more complex to understand.
It just becomes
a farce.
Becomes made up
it becomes
nonsense.
A farce. It does. It absolutely does. So going back to, because with the statistics I was reading, I'll not go into more numbers now, but basically the increase in people identifying as non-binary, as transgender, is the younger demographic, under 30. So another question for you. Okay. In 10 years' time, someone say you've got someone coming out as non-binary and they use they them pronouns, they change the hair, their outfit, the style, everything like that. How would the conversation go in 10 years if they think, do you know what? It was just a phase for me. I actually don't feel like that. I do feel like male or female. Like, then they have to then go back on what they've said. And that must be a difficult conversation to have.
But going on what you're saying there, when you look on on social medias and you've got a lot of these people who are shouting and screaming, about the whole being misgendered, or you need to call me this name, etc. It's almost like they're not making an effort to be the gender or the opposite of the gender that they do or don't want to be.
Okay, I got that. That took me a minute to process that then.
So, for example, you knew you wanted to be a woman. You wanted to transition to a trans woman, and that's what you are today. So you've made the effort to do the things that you believe or you want other people to see you as a woman.
Well, in my
because in an ideal world, you walk down the street, you want someone to look at you and go,
to not know,
just visually, she's a woman.
But do you think maybe some people aren't, again, just playing devil's advocate here, just having just a conversation. So if you have, a trans woman, for instance, but she doesn't want to go on hormones, she doesn't want surgeries, all that she really does is sort of change her name, grow her hair, and change her clothing. Because none of that's permanent then. So if they ever change their mind, she could just go back. So do you think maybe some people who choose not to medically transition, is it because it's a choice they're making just to fit in with the trend or be on trend?
Possibly. Or it could be a subconscious way of protecting themselves from being in that situation where you get to that point of no return. Or
in all fairness, there was there was a few points in my transition where I thought is this the right thing? Am I doing this for the right reasons?
Do I
really want this? But it was always at points where it was something major. Like when I got my first hormone prescription, before I put the first hormone in my mouth, I thought, is this something?
Oh, right, yeah.
The tablets, the estrogen.
You put a needle in your mouth?
No, estrogen. Before I did that, I remember having a little conversation with myself and I thought, do I really, really want to do this? Because this is a huge medical change. I'm going to be effectively a medical patient for the rest of my life. And I thought really deep into that. And with all those like surgeries and everything and things like that are irreversible, you have to think about those things so much because some things you can't change. But then when you have some people who aren't changing, like non-binary, for instance, I know some non-binary people, they can take some hormones and they can have some surgeries, but a lot of non-binary people don't. And is that because when the trend dies off and it's not trendy anymore to be trans or non-binary, will they still identify that way?
I think there'll be a decline in the future.
You think it'll come back down?
I think at the moment, it's trending. If you search for trans content or non-binary, it blows up. It blows up everywhere.
I do think as well, I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but I think that certainly in my lifetime, in the last 20 years, obviously gay marriage has been legalised. Well, it was civil partnership in the UK and then gay marriage. We've seen such a progression in acceptance for the LGBT community. I do think that has something to come into play with it for two reasons. One, people are more comfortable, you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Saying who they are.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So they're more comfortable just being out and proud about who they are. But then also, I think now because we're living in a slightly more accepting world, for instance, with you, when you were trying to figure out your sexuality as gay, straight, bisexual, anything all around that, did you struggle with that? Coming to terms with it?
As soon as I knew it was time to tell my mum, she was the first person I told. As soon as I told my mum and my mum accepted it, that was my green light. That if my mum accepts it,
it's okay.
I don't care if anyone else on this planet doesn't accept it because my mum accepts it and her opinion is the most important opinion to me at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
But
that's really sweet.
Oh,
I love that.
Well,
See, for me,
that was that. And then I was
scared.
I was out.
So I've spoken about this briefly before. So I'm 30 years old now. So half my life ago when I was 15, I don't know why I said it like that. That was very dramatic. Half my life ago. So when I was 15, I was seeing a therapist for gender dysphoria. I'd already gone to the doctors and it was the hardest thing to do, to go into my GP, and I was seeing a nurse and she's like, what's wrong today? How can I help you? The second I said, I think I want to be a girl, she was awful to me, like so nasty and rude and just cruel. When I was 15 years old, I almost started transitioning and I didn't. I waited until I was 27. But the reason I waited was because I didn't feel like I would ever be accepted by society and I would never maybe fall in love or someone would never love me back. And
but I do.
Yeah, thank you. But I think because we have come such a long way as a society and we're more tolerant and understanding, do you think that maybe people are coming to terms with who they are easier?
Yeah, I think there is. There's more acceptance. Generally, there's more information out there online.
Well, there wasn't any hardly when I was 14, 15.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I was 15, 16, Google wasn't a thing. And if you wanted to go to a website, you had to type that website into the absolute
I remember. I was the same.
And I remember sitting there and being like, typing on the computer, and I want to get to this website. But the best thing you had back then was like Ask Jeeves. Yeah.
We're all showing our
Ask
age.
Jeeves.
Well, not old,
so information is more readily available online. Anybody can access it now, So I think that in turn does help with.
Do you think, another question for you?
Yeah.
So obviously you identified as a gay man for quite a long time and you have your feminine aspects, which I love about you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So with, for example, a feminine gay man who then suddenly comes out as non-binary, I want to go a little bit into sort of the gender aspect of it because you can be a feminine man.
Yeah, because
wearing makeup and feminine clothes.
I am a strong believer that we shouldn't
box.
We shouldn't box people into masculine and feminine because I'm a man. I like man things.
I think you are.
Yeah, I like man things. Typical, But a bit of Britney Spears comes on, and I'm dancing
are so sassy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, though.
And I love that, and I absorb that, but at the other side, I am quite manly with things.
In some aspects, you can be a gay man and feminine. And you can also, on the same side of that, be a masculine woman and be butch or like a tomboy. Like I keep seeing a phrase going around on social media, like bring back the tomboy. Like you do get feminine men and masculine women. That was so hard to think of in my head. So I've got another question for you. So you think obviously some people are being trans or non-binary for the trend. Yeah. Where do you think that came from? Where do you think, like, how did it become a trend? Like, that's what I can't wrap my head around because, like, right, we were saying earlier, when we were younger, you did everything you could to fit in and be normal, and LGBT did not fit under that. So where was the shift? Where was the change? Where did it become trendy to be non-binary, to be transgender?
It's controversial at the moment, is being trans. Anything trans is quite controversial, isn't it? When you see what's happening in America and stuff like that, and the left wing and the right wing. I'm not going to pretend to understand it all, I don't. But generally, when you're looking on social media, there's a lot of trans. And I think quite trendy because people can sit behind their phone screens and make a video and say and do and whatever they want with very little repercussion. So people who are maybe doing something for the negativity, well, not aiming for the negative attention, but they're still getting
the attention.
Negative
That's
attention.
Why,
so they're feeding on it. But because they're sat behind their phone screen, in a way, they're protected. Whereas back in the day when we didn't have social media, the only way you'd get that attention
is
was
in real life.
Yourself in that physical position, which obviously come at a lot more risk. Physical risk, abuse, being beat up or what have you. So I think that's part of it. I think because you are protected behind a phone screen, and people are more inclined to jump on trending things.
I think what's the word where you want to be completely fair to everyone, like the political correctness,
PC,
the wokeness,
PC.
being PC.
PC or
that
woke.
has almost gone too far in some aspects, I think, now. So because of that, people are scared to say anything and offend people because then you're called every bad name under the sun. So that's maybe another reason why. This is going to sound really bad, and I'm just going to say it, and we'll try and unpick it after.
Okay.
I think it's trendy to be non-binary or trans because we've run out of every other trend that we've had. We've done all the different hairstyles. We had the goth, the emo, the scene kids. They were all different trends. I feel like we've gone through so much different things to be trendy. It's like, what is left? And then now we're going into the LGBT group because that's not been explored as a trend yet, because before it was very much ostracized from society. Oh, big word. I know.
I'm not going to try and count how many letters that word's got in it.
So do you think maybe...
I think you're onto a really good point there.
I just think it's just something interesting because it's coming out of the darkness, the LGBT community, for sure, in the last 20 years, really getting equality now. Maybe that is why as well, because...
I think you're on a good point, like, because I know a lot of people when I was at school that were goths and rockers and skateboarders.
But I feel like that's gone now.
And
a lot
they're
of
no
it's
longer
gone,
remotely
obviously.
even interested in that kind of...
So, like, I work with someone, lovely, lovely lady. She's an amazing woman. Just looks like an everyday sort of woman. Beautiful. However, when she showed me a picture of her, she's in her 50s. When she showed me a picture of her when she was in her 20s, black dreadlocks, black makeup, she was a goth. Like, she used to go to like car parks and raves and everything like that. But that for her was a phase, and that sort of trickled away. So maybe in time, some people who are genuinely non-binary or trans, maybe it'll just trickle away. But you have to have that conversation with people. You have to say, don't call me they anymore. Or, by the way, instead of calling me he, can you go back to calling me she? Like, that's a whole...
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, sometimes we've got to put our hands up and admit that we're wrong, and that's not nice to do.
No, you can't do that ever. You struggle so
That's because I'm always right.
Oh, okay, sure.
Most of the time, right.
So I'm going to ask you the question one more time.
Okay.
And if there's anything that we spoke about, if you think it's brought anything to light, do you think that being trans or non-binary right now is a trend?
I do believe there is a lot.
You still think it is?
I still think, I'm still for the fact that I think there is a lot of it that's very trending at the moment. I don't get me wrong, this is just my opinion. There's so many people out there that are genuine.
Yeah, I think like we were saying, one of the main points. Go on, sorry.
No, it's all right.
I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, I think there is a big aspect of it at the moment that's quite trending. You just search the word. You search the word on there.
So much comes up.
You know.
I do think it has a lot to do with social acceptance. So that's why. So like that number, for instance. Yes, 5 years ago, it was half the amount of people identifying, but I think that was maybe because it was less accepted back then. And non-binary as well, you've got to remember. It's been around it's not a new sort of terminology, but it's new to most people.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why more people identify with it.
Like with non-binary, when I was a kid and stuff, there were people that kind of fit into that box.
Couldn't tell if they were male or female.
Yeah, or they liked typical feminine and masculine or a bit of, you know,
That's been around. Okay. Yeah. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Are we good?
I think so. But yeah, just, again, this is just our opinion. We just like I talk about it. We're not here to change your opinion or push any kind of agenda. We're just having a bit of a chit chat.
Thank
with
you
each other.
for.
Yes,
I'm going to say thank you for being on the podcast, but Liam's always going to be on this podcast, so episodes will come out weekly. Liam's going to be editing, so if there's anything in here where he edits me in an ugly way, just know that I will come after him.
That to you.
You are going to use so many memes on my face and zoom in and do awful things. So will you do the outro? Can I ask a favour?
Yeah.
So obviously I normally do the outros in my videos, but will you do the outro on this?
If you like this content, please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
These episodes are going to come out weekly.
They are.
And
thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
And we will see you guys in the next one.
In the next one. I remembered.
Bye.
Oops, bye.
I told you.
No, you didn't.